Hey, greetings one and all. This is the Bellicose Nation, and we're right back here today with a hard look at America in crisis. Well, maybe that's a little over the top, but hey, today we're going to discuss the growing movement across the nation where people in ever greater numbers are sending notice to Washington, indeed directly to the White House, that they want to secede from the United States. That's right. Tens of thousands, no, hundreds of thousands of people in every state are giving notice that they want to bail out, to separate themselves from the United States. In much the same way that our country was originally founded. Back in 1776, people were fed up and they said, hey, this ain't working for us anymore and we have the right to self-determination. But let's back up a minute and explain how this is happening. Now, the White House has a means whereby you can go to whitehouse.gov and either start a petition or join one already posted. And if enough people sign the online petition, we are led to believe that the White House will take a look at it and give it consideration. And so hundreds of thousands of people across the country are doing just that. Now, look, naturally, this is a waste of time. But you just know it has to drive the left crazy, especially as this is taking place right on the heels of an election where Obama was decisively reelected. And from the reaction I've seen, they're chalking this up to, well, you know what? It's all about the black guy in the White House. For them, it couldn't possibly be any deeper than that. And one of their semi-logical points is, why didn't you do it under Bush? That race is the only thing they can pin this on, suggests the huge gulf of understanding that exists between the left and the right. Now, I went to the whitehouse.gov website, but I didn't sign the petition. I checked them out. Now, you can call it paranoia or whatever, but I have read too much history, my friends, to know what those lists could be used for should a real darkness befall this country in the years or even decades ahead. And I doubt I was alone in that thought. Tell you what, I bet if there was a way for people to sign up without detection, the number of people flocking to this means of protest, and that's what it really is, would be double. And it already may grow by 1 million by Friday. You come here not to listen to news stories, but to hear my take on the topic and hopefully to share yours. So let's get to the itemized list of what this means and where it might go. Okay, first of all, secession is not possible in a legal sense. After the last attempt at secession, known as the Civil War, that matter has been settled. In other words, states can willingly join the Union, but once in, dude, there ain't no getting out. It's a one-way street. Now, I believe the move to divide this country into two or perhaps more nations is inevitable. And the reason is because, folks, we are not a singular nation anymore. We are fast becoming simply a country. And what's the difference? A country is generally a designated area with borders and a government, whereas a nation is a large group of people united by common descent, history, culture, and language. Under the definition of that, can anyone honestly say we are a nation? People who can't agree on anything, not even common morals or language. We are even purging traditional holidays from public life. We have an ever-growing part of the people that rather than revere our history, they denigrate it. They tear down and take pleasure in finding fault with the founders and everyone else along the way. To many others, their sense of history is back in the home country that they or their ancestors come from because they haven't assimilated to our traditional culture, and naturally they gravitate towards what they relate to, not old, dead white people. How many times have you heard that? So our country is divided, and it grows more so every year and along every point that we should have commonality. So I'm going to predict we will become more disconnected and not less. People will feel the government is not working for them, and they will embrace what Abraham Lincoln once said himself. And I quote, "Any people, anywhere, being inclined and having the power have the right to rise up and shake off the existing government and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, most sacred right, which we hope and believe is to liberate the world." That was Abraham Lincoln in 1862. So what we are seeing now, my friends, is birth pains. That's what this is, birth pains. They will increase with intensity and frequency, and there will come a breaking point. Now, I think one of the areas many of us make is to assume it will simply be a white movement of those who feel they have lost their country. This is short-sighted, I think. I really do. There may well be a nationalistic movement among Hispanics, for example. As they continue to dominate and populate the Southwest, they may feel that that part of their country should be theirs again. Even now, there are large areas in that part of the country in which English is really a second language. Many people don't speak English. They embrace their own holidays, heroes, and culture much more than they do traditional American ones. So it's not too much of a jump to think that they may want to have their own nation. Now, as for whites, well, minorities often put aside differences and they find unity. Do we not see this now with current minority populations in the U.S.? How far-fetched is it to expect that whites, as they become a minority, would experience this same trend? Now, I suspect we're going to find there's nothing magical here in the United States that holds us together, if nothing practical does. You know, no need to assume that it's going to be the end of the world. I would imagine the various nations would be joined together in trade agreements, military pacts, and have a beneficial relationship, much as Europe does. So there's no need to think it's the apocalypse and the end of the world, although the secession movement will not come about, I don't think, peacefully. But people will want to have a nation and be a part of a nation that charts their own destiny and feel a part of that nation rather than a country. This is the same thing, really, that's happening all across the globe, from Chechnya to Belgium, from the Middle East and all across Africa. In fact, everywhere you go, you see groups and people associating more along the lines of religion and race and ethnicity. Now, I know there are many here who are not ready to entertain the idea of a division of this country, but I caution with this. In history, monumental change is seldom predicted by the majority. But when it's over, everyone claims they saw it coming. Now listen, my friends, here's what you do. Take note of the fundamental changes going on here. Follow the trajectory and you will see it is a real possibility. Now, I'll tell you, if time permitted, I would love to delve into how a secession could be successful, tactically speaking. And if there is enough interest in this, I may do a follow-up video because I know many of you think any such movement would be squashed. But to those, I would say, how long have we been in Afghanistan fighting a handful of guys in pajamas with AK-47s? Think about that. Okay, now you've heard my 2 cents. I want to hear yours. So give me your take on it. And don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like discussing these topics. This is the Bellicose Nation.